Hi guys, it's Luna here, back with another prophetic word and message from Creator and my spirit helpers. Before I read what I received, there's actually two messages. They're short, so I'm going to read them together. And they are always kind of part of the same message anyways, and they're continuing from the last messages, but also because of the things that we're going through, they serve as a guide on how to navigate through these times. So I want to touch on a couple of things that normally I don't talk about because I tend to stay away from anything that's controversial or that has to do with politics, because that's just never been my reason, my purpose for bringing these messages. When I started this whole process and bringing these messages, has always been with the intention of bringing awareness and protecting the children. So this is why I talked about and shared about the sound of freedom on my last video, because it's about them and it's about protecting them and really, just doing my part and just really wanting to make a difference in that way. So with that said, I will be talking about, just briefly, because it really is not, I don't enjoy talking about anything that has to do with politics. But I'm feeling called to do so because it is also part of the grand picture, and it is very much has a lot to do with the children. Many of you have asked me, where my stance is with what I feel or think about tea. From the very beginning, when I started doing these videos, I talked about that. I touched on that subject, and I had said back then, and I still stand in the same position, the same feelings as I did then, which is I don't have any strong feelings about him in either direction. Meaning, do I feel he's working for with good intentions, or as some prophets say, he's been appointed to do this work, or creator's work? I don't know. I've never personally received any prophetic messages around that, so I don't close it off, but I also don't push it. I don't talk about it because it's not something that I've received and I don't have clarity around it. There's been a lot of pictures and information out there that he has, been around and hung out with the opposing side. And I don't like saying sides because, again, it's not about division. The whole point is that we need to unite. It's about unity, right? Community. And, for just lack of words, and just this is what the language is right now, that's what I'm using, just to kind of be clear on that. There are pictures and stuff with him hanging out with the opposing side, and so I don't feel that he's completely clear of wrongdoing, right? But I don't feel any of us are, and it's not to excuse him by no means, because again, I don't feel strong about any of his position, like in regards to his position and what he's actually doing. I have both feelings. Like there's moments where I feel he's just full of it, and then there's moments I feel like he's playing the part, right? So that's all I kind of want to say about that, which segues into very similar thing that has been brought up with that person. And I won't say names. If this is your first time on my channel, I avoid saying names because I don't want to get flagged. I want this video to stay up. So it's going to be up to you to kind of navigate or try to figure out what I'm saying or who I'm talking about. But it's pretty obvious, very clear, because, most of the time people know what's going on, or you should at the very least know what's going on. So when I talk about things like this, I don't necessarily have to say specific names. And so going back to the movie, that particular person that the whole movie was around, there's rumors going around that he's not an actual good person, that he really is connected to the elites and to the opposing side, and that he's actually not saved them, but he's contributed to harming them. And what I'm going to say about that is that I don't close myself off to that possibility, because in these times I feel it's very important, and this is part of what I want to share with you guys, for you guys to consider, that when somebody tells you or brings something like that to you that you don't want to believe, it is important that we stay neutral and we have an open mind, because in order for us to really, really understand what's happening and to really figure out where everybody stands, we can't close off to any potential information or truth. So I don't close off that could be a possibility. However, what I do know, and what I was told, which I'm going to read as part of the message, is that there's always going to be people to talk down other people that are doing good. And you'll see that even, I haven't yet that I know of, but I'm sure if I get large enough, I might even start getting attacked too in the future. So it's very important that we use our intuition. And this is why I encourage you guys constantly to use discernment, to stay in your prayer, because we are in these crazy times where we really don't know who's doing what, right? Who's in which side, including including a lot of these people. So with that in mind, I'm going to read the message, and so that you can have more of an understanding why this message is very important based on what I just shared with you guys. So Creator says, there will be shocking revelations, some of which will blow the minds of even those who thought they knew the truth. This is why I'm telling you, it is important to stay close to me and my word. The infiltrations are on both sides. Some who appear to be evildoers are working for me, getting close to the enemy to expose the corruption and the evil they have done. And others have infiltrated the good doers, disguised as if they are working for me. This is why knowing me is crucial in these times. So I talk about the tricksters all the time, because it's true. You know, they're playing the opposing sides, but the thing is, it's not just the bad people playing as if they're, good people, right? It's also the good people playing the bad people so that they can infiltrate and get information and expose the evildoers. So there's infiltration on both sides, to the point where I was shown that a lot of the prophets are also going to be shocked. And that could be me too. I don't take myself out of the equation. And it is why it is super important that you are in relationship with Creator. You have direct communication with His word. Because when you hear something, whether it's from me, whether it's from T, whether it's from B, whoever it's coming from, you're going to know if it's coming from God's word, or if it's coming from fear, or if it's coming from manipulation. Whatever it is, you're going to recognize it, because it's not going to sit well with you. It's not going to be in alignment with your truth or with love, right? Because love is the highest vibration. And if it doesn't feel like it comes from that space, that's an indication. That's an indicator. And the other thing is, the bigger picture and the reality is, it's not up to anybody to really take us out of anything. It is up to us. It is up to all of us to do our part. And I've said this over and over because this is what Creator tells me. It is important that we have a relationship with Creator because that's where we find our strength. That's where we have our personal power, right? Our God power, but also our confidence, and we're not in fear to really speak up, to not have to comply with ridiculous things. When we are complying and doing things that we know are going against what feels right to us, what is good for us, we're not in our God, truth. We're not in our relationship with the Most High. We're not following God's word. We are in a diminished energy. We are in a place of not being able to do, right? We're frozen in, and we feel disabled. It's another form of being disabled, really. So as I share this, I want to also bring to you guys somebody that I came across that I just finished listening to literally just before I jumped on here. He was given an interview with David Nino Rodriguez. His name is Dr. Shiva, and I've never heard of him before, so I'm not advocating for him by no means. I'm simply bringing him in so that you guys can do your own research, because as I was listening to him, the words that he was saying kind of resonated. Not kind of, they did. And why they did is because he was advocating for, okay, so let me back up a little bit. First of all, I never knew who he was, right? But it turns out he's running for president. Okay, so he's running for president, and so he was talking about that. But then what caught my attention is that he was really advocating for us to use discernment, or for us to come together as community and stop falling for the division, because both sides are the same bird. You've heard that term, I'm sure, both wings from the same bird. And I'm not going to go into detail about everything that he was saying, because this is the point I want to make, is for you guys to go and learn about what he has to offer. Because part of it, what really intrigued me, and I haven't yet looked at it, because again, I just finished watching it and then I jumped on here and now I'm sharing it with you guys. Maybe I should have done some research first, but my intuition is like, I want to look into it at the very least, so that we could expand in our information, our knowledge data can expand. Because if we're just closed-minded to one thing and we don't want to look outside of that, we're never going to realize that there's more things out in the world, right? If we just think, we like the color green, or we like the color blue, but we never explore that there's multiple colored flowers, or that there's a variety of different shades on a leaf, or different shapes of a leaf, or you know what I mean, then we're just going to stick to our circle, right? The circle that, okay, if you feel comfortable there, that's fine. But my point is, the reason why this is happening in the world is because we never want to have conversations that are outside of our understanding, our means. So how are we really going to truly expand as a person, but also as a people? We have to have these healthy conversations that sometimes are uncomfortable and push us outside of what we know. Because when we push outside of what we know, our comfort zone, that's when we're truly expanding. And so what I'm saying is that as we begin to really push outside of what we know, then we're going to have a better understanding of how to play the game, right? How to play their game, and really have a shot at this chess game. Because it's not about T against B, or right or left. It's about all of us as a whole, as one whole community. Because the other part of the message, which I'm going to read, is about Creator's talking about community and what that really means. And And we're not going to ever be community if we keep thinking that it's, us versus them, or them versus us, all that stuff. It's still a form of division, even to the point where, sadly, spiritual communities also have division within the spiritual community. And I experience that over and over, because there's this thought that, if we find our tribe, we all have to find our tribe, or people that we vibe with. There's all these different language and ways that we push each other away from each other instead of actually uniting together. And that's the whole, that's a lot of the problem is what we're going through right now, is because we fell into all these belief systems. And this man, Dr. Shiva, is talking about that the reality is once we have information that will give us not just information but knowledge, and let us know how to do for ourselves, how to navigate where we can actually break away from the system, then that's how we're really going to win. That's how we're really going to advance, right? Not win us versus them, win as a whole, right? That's the goal. That's the goal, is for us to come together, and that's the real winning. It's not us versus them. And so the next part of the message is, Creator says, finding a community to belong in is just another way to divide. We belong everywhere. We are a part of the all. For all our relations means we are all related, all part of the same spirit, the same Creator. When we realize we all belong everywhere, that is when we'll make a shift. And so that term, for all our relations, or for all my relations, if you haven't heard that term, that is a phrase that we use in sacred space, ceremonies, indigenous ceremonies. It is something that, is just a way of us expressing, for all our relations, not just my relations, not just your relations. But if you think about it, a lot of times people just kind of say that as a form of, expression, but they're not following in those words. They're not following with their actions and living up to those words. And Creator saying it is time for us to really walk as one, because we are all part of the same Creator, and we are part of that same breath, that same wind, the same elements. And when we can really recognize and understand this, that's when we're going to have that big shift. That's when we're really going to expand. But right now, we still are dividing. Again, like I said, even within the spiritual communities, and it's just ridiculous. Within religions, within, this, within that, within the right, the left, the blue, the red, it's just ridiculous. And so this is why, again, we're still where we're at. We have to be able to realize and recognize that for all our relations is that we are all connected. We are all connected to the same energy, to the same vibration. And as we learn how to navigate through this and realize that we truly are already linked up, then we're going to know how to, it's funny because I'm like, connect, right? But then also disconnect, because we want to be connected to God's source, but also disconnected from the false narratives that keep playing in our heads that we must do this and we must do that. That is just part of the plan that is not God's plan. And so why are we still following that narrative? And it's all solely because we have forgotten, we've been disconnected from our own source, from our God source, from our God power. And it's important that we reconnect and that we unite in one whole for all our relations community, and no more they, us, because it's just not working, and it's time to shift that. So it's very important that we we start really practicing our words and not just expressing them, because otherwise they have no value, right? They have no weight if we just continue to talk but not walk our talk. So with that, I just also want to say I appreciate you guys messaging and sharing with me how you guys are also receiving God's word, and that you guys are really listening, and it just, you know, brings me so much joy to know that you hear, right? That you're listening to God's word, but that you are connected that way, because that's what this is about. So I encourage you guys to continue sharing your messages, because I'll start reading them. You know, I'm going to start reading your guys's words, you know, the words that you guys receive from Creator too. I think that we all need to hear each other's messages, because they are powerful. They're powerful, and they're helping us, and they're connecting us, and it's all part of that same picture. It's putting that, you know, that puzzle pieces together as all of us come together and share in this good way. So lastly, I will pull a couple of cards and leave you guys with a positive word from Spirit, my helpers. And it's always just a fun way to end. Okay, let's see. And I pulled out, I remembered my glasses this time. Okay, so root girl, the disowned self. So this really, you know, speaks to taking care of self, right? Taking care of that part that has been disowned and has been neglected for a very long time. And, you know, it says root girl, but that's just really, to me, speaking of Mother Earth, you know, getting close to Mother Earth. So make sure that you remember to connect with your roots, to ground to Earth, to receive Mother Earth's energy, and take care of self. So this goes for both male and female, because we both need to be nurtured and restore our energy, our spirit. And we can do that in, you know, many ways, whatever way that works for you guys. But it's always very nice to connect to Mother Earth, because she provides so much wisdom, so much nutrition, so much, you know, just love and minerals. And so whatever it is that you can learn from her, or that you can gather from her medicine that will, you know, recharge you guys, that will help you guys in this process, then do that. But also always it's very important to remember to, you know, be in a reciprocating relationship with her, and offer something back, you know, so that way it just continues to flow all the way around. And that's very important. Okay, so the next one I'm going to pull is Sacred Site Purpose. So this here for me feels, you know, just kind of go into a space that is a sacred place for you guys. Connect with that and find what your purpose is in all this, right? Find reason or purpose for you to have, or to be part of this movement, this rebirth that we're all going through. And you can only find that in the sacred space that is within, or that is with connection with the Creator, or in your own very own space that you've created. But I feel it is important that you go into the space and take time to be in that prayer, in that sacredness of, you know, why are you here? Why were you chosen to be here through these times? Because it's much bigger than just, oh my God, the devastation that we're all going through. There is also something about us being here that is sacred. You know, if we allow ourselves to go into that, this is a time for us to go back into that divine place within. It's an opportunity to reconnect with Creator and to live in that purpose. So I encourage you guys, to create a space, or to go into, into Mother Nature, like go on a hike into a cave, or somewhere that just feels very sacred for you, and pray about it. Ask, why am I here in these times? What is my role here, and what can I offer? What can I bring? How can I make a difference? Because this is all definitely going to be remembered for many, many years, and it's going to be part of the stories that our children tell. They retell, and they tell their grandchildren, and it's just going to continue to be shared this way. And you're here, you're part of it. So see, what your role is, and just sit with it, pray with it, and connect with it in that good way. So thank you again for joining, for watching till the end. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your support to our church. If you feel called to support our church, I have the link below. And also, if you want prayer, I will leave all the information in the bottom. Till next time, thank you.